and it was amazing. But I'm not telling you that to show off.
Yes, I am!
I'm telling you because while I was there, I got this rather lovely Hugo Boss Open limited edition cap, and I want to give it to you. I've just realised that I said limited edition, but I don't actually know if that is true. It just kind of sounded right. But then everything is limited edition really, isn't it, if you think about it? Even stuff that there's loads of, like baked beans or Love Island contestants, there's still only a limited number of those things. So yeah, everything in the world is limited edition when you really think about it.
Ooh, that's deep.
Anyway, if you would like to win this lovely cap, all you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below. You can leave any comment you like, but if you're stuck for ideas, I've got a question for you, and that is, which of the 4 majors would you most want to win if you could only pick one? So for me, it's a toss-up between the Masters and the Open, but I think I'd have to go for the Masters, because as much as it'd be cool to win the Open on home soil and be, you know, the champion golfer of the year, the Masters is the tournament that I can remember watching with my dad when I was a kid, and it's the one that I really got excited about at the start of the golf season. So yeah, for me it would be a green jacket. There's also the fact that if you win the Masters, you get invited back every single year to play in it.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me know down below which major would be your first choice, or you can just leave any comment you like. Every comment will be entered into a random draw to win this cap, so it doesn't have to be about the major thing, it can be whatever you like. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about what happens when you hit the ball into the trees. So, does this scenario seem at all familiar? Oh, this is amazing. I'm having the round of my life. I'm 6 under my handicap. I'm playing superbly. What a time to be alive. Oh no, I can't believe it. I've just pulled one into the trees. This is a nightmare. Right, nice and sensible, nothing silly, easy chip out. Hang on, there's a gap. Yes, I can see it. I can definitely get through that gap and onto the green. I've got this is my moment. I'm Bubba hitting that hooked wedge at the Masters.
Did it hook? Oh, what a shot!
I'm Sebi threading it between 2 bunkers.
That could be marvellous, got enough.
I'm Phil Mickelson hitting a flop shot from the hospitality bar.
Pink up together.
I'm a golfing Houdini. I'm a prick and I hate this game. Just chip it out sideways, it's not that hard, you f***ing bell end. Oh my god, I f***ed this game. Why am I such a prick? Oh, golf. So that is what a lot of us do when we hit it into the trees. Do you want to know what tour pros do? Well, according to Mark Brody, who is kind of the Albert Einstein of golf stats, he's the guy behind strokes gained and all that sort of stuff, he has worked out that when they go in the trees, tour pros make bogey 80% of the time. So that tells us 2 things. 1, try not to hit it in the trees in the first place, but 2, don't expect to make a par every time that you are in the trees. When you take on those sort of really risky shots to try and save par, quite often you end up turning what would be a bogey into a double, a triple, or even worse. I get why we do it, it's human nature. We've made a mistake by hitting into the trees, and whenever you make a mistake, the first thing you want to do is try and make up for it. But sometimes you've got to just accept that you've made that mistake and take your medicine. I met Ian Poulter's caddy, a guy called Terry Mundy, a few years ago, and he said that he'll only let Poults take on a shot if they're both sure that he can pull it off at least 8 times out of 10. I think that's quite a good way to look at it and decide whether you should take on a shot or not. There might be a small chance that you can squeeze it through that little gap and get it on the green, but if 9 times out of 10 it's going to hit trees and deflect God knows where, it's probably not a good idea to go for it. One bad shot doesn't ruin a round, but it's when you make that bad shot and then compound it by trying to take something on that doesn't work, doing that a couple of times, then that is when it racks up into a nightmare hole, and those are the ones that can completely ruin your round. The other thing I think is good to think about, as well as that kind of can you pull the shot off 8 times out of 10, is whether the juice is worth the squeeze, and if you know what film that is from, then I salute you. But basically, I mean, is it even worth the risk? How much are you actually going to gain by taking on that riskier shot? Because sometimes I see it and it's like people are taking on a much riskier line, trying to get it through a narrow gap, and even going through that small gap, they're still not going to get it on the green. It's just going to put them maybe like 30 or 40 yards closer than if they chipped out sideways. So in that scenario, you're taking on quite a big risk and it could go horribly wrong, And even if it goes right, you're only in a slightly better position than if you just played the safe shot out sideways. Now, I know this might sound like a bit of a boring approach to always play out safe, and I'm not saying that because those risky shots, they do sometimes come off and they're great fun when they do, and there are times when actually they probably are the best strategy. You know, if you're playing in like a pairs competition and your partners are already in a really good position, or if you're playing a match and if you chip out you've pretty much guaranteed lost the hole, then sometimes they are worth taking on, and sometimes they're just fun to give it a go. But if you're going to take those risks, just accept the risk that you're taking. The worst thing is when people take on a shot that, you know, 9 times out of 10 isn't going to work, it doesn't work, and then they get really kind of annoyed and angry, and you think, well, that was more likely than not going to happen. And then they get annoyed at themselves for doing it, carry that over into the next hole, a couple of holes after that, and that is the round completely gone. So there you go, I hope you found that useful. I just want to share one last story on this whole hitting shots out of trees thing. At my club, they are in the process of taking out a load of trees. So at the start of last winter, they worked out which trees should come out and they marked them all with a bit of paint. Now, because of the crazy weather that we had during the winter, all that snow and stuff, they didn't manage to take all of the trees out that they had planned to.
Oh my god, how long is this story?
If you think it's annoying when you hit a shot into the trees and you've got a single little skinny tree that's kind of perfectly blocking out the whole green so you can't hit it forwards, spare a thought for me when you're in that situation and the tree has got a little bit of paint on, so you know that it shouldn't be there and that it won't be there in a few months' time.
It's frustrating.
I gotta get a chainsaw.